The ballroom of the Harrington estate glittered with crystal chandeliers and polished marble floors, but beneath the elegance lay tension sharp enough to cut. Mr. Harrington stood proudly beside his two daughters, addressing the guests and, most importantly, the Duke of Westbrook. With a confident smile, he leaned closer to the Duke and spoke words meant to seal his family's future. "Take the pretty one," he said softly, gesturing toward Lydia, whose golden curls and practiced smile had been displayed like a prized jewel all evening. Few noticed Clara, the elder sister, standing slightly behind, her plain dress and downcast eyes marking her as an afterthought. Clara Harrington had long been accustomed to that position. Growing up in a wealthy New England household, she learned early that beauty was currency, and she possessed little of it in her father's eyes. Lydia, younger and radiant, was praised endlessly, while Clara was expected to be grateful for silence. Clara filled her days with books, music, and quiet acts of kindness, helping servants and volunteering in town, unseen by her family. Tonight, as the Duke's gaze swept the room, she braced herself for the familiar sting of rejection, knowing her father's words were final and her role merely decorative. Duke Alexander Westbrook, however, was not the shallow aristocrat many assumed. Born into old money and raised among privilege, he had learned to read people carefully, for flattery often masked greed. As he observed the sisters, he noticed Lydia's rehearsed laughter and quick glances toward her father for approval. Then he saw Clara, still, thoughtful, eyes reflecting something deeper than ambition. The Duke felt an unexpected pull. When Mr. Harrington repeated his suggestion with a confident nod, the Duke paused, letting the silence stretch long enough to make the room uneasy. "I will choose for myself," the Duke finally said, his voice calm but firm. He turned not toward Lydia, but toward Clara. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mr. Harrington's smile froze, Lydia's face paled, and Clara felt the world tilt beneath her feet. The Duke extended his hand. "Miss Clara Harrington, would you honor me with a dance?" he asked. Her heart pounded as she accepted, unsure whether this was kindness, mockery, or fate rewriting itself in real time. As they danced, the Duke spoke gently, asking about her interests, her thoughts on music, on community, on life beyond the ballroom. Clara answered honestly, surprised by how easy it felt to be herself. She did not perform, she simply spoke. The Duke listened, truly listened, something she had rarely experienced. Around them, whispers grew louder, but within that small circle, Clara felt an unfamiliar warmth. For the first time, she was not invisible. By the end of the evening, the Duke made his intentions clear. He announced his desire to court Clara, stunning the Harrington family and their guests. Mr. Harrington protested later in private, arguing about appearances and advantages, but the Duke remained unmoved. "I seek a partner, not an ornament," he said plainly. Lydia, humiliated and furious, blamed Clara for stealing what she believed was hers by right. Clara retreated into herself, torn between guilt and disbelief, unsure whether happiness was something she was allowed to claim. The weeks that followed were transformative. The Duke visited often, taking Clara on walks through town, introducing her to libraries, charity boards, and discussions that mattered. He admired her compassion and her intelligence, encouraging her to speak openly. Clara began to see herself differently, not as the rejected sister, but as a woman with value. Yet shadows lingered. Her father's coldness grew, and Lydia's resentment hardened into cruelty, reminding Clara that acceptance often comes at a cost. One afternoon, a scandal erupted. Rumors spread that Clara had manipulated the Duke, casting doubt on her character. Mr. Harrington, eager to restore his standing, confronted the Duke with these accusations, urging him to reconsider. The Duke sought Clara out, not with anger, but with concern. When he asked her directly, she did not defend herself with elaborate denials. She simply spoke the truth of her life, her insecurities, and her surprise at his choice. Her honesty silenced the doubts he had never truly held. In a bold move, the Duke addressed the rumors publicly, affirming his respect and affection for Clara. He criticized the shallow values that reduced women to appearances, challenging the very society that had praised him moments before. Some guests were offended, others thoughtful, but the message was clear. Clara was no longer a background figure, she was standing beside him, equal and unashamed. The turning point came when Lydia, faced with her own emptiness, confronted Clara in private. Years of rivalry and hurt spilled out. Clara listened, as she always had, but this time she spoke too, gently yet firmly. She refused to apologize for being chosen, yet offered compassion. That conversation did not heal everything, but it cracked open a door neither sister knew existed. For Lydia, it was the first time she saw Clara not as competition, but as a person. When the Duke proposed, it was not in a grand ballroom, but during a quiet visit to a community center Clara helped support. He knelt without an audience, offering a future built on respect and shared purpose. Clara accepted through tears, understanding that love, when real, does not demand perfection. It recognizes worth that has always been there. The wedding was modest by aristocratic standards, though elegant in its sincerity. Some socialites stayed away, unwilling to accept the Duke's defiance of tradition, but those who attended witnessed something rare. Clara walked confidently, no longer shrinking into shadows. Mr. Harrington, subdued and reflective, watched his elder daughter with a mixture of regret and pride, realizing too late the cost of his blindness. Years later, Clara would be known not as the rejected sister, but as the Duchess of Westbrook, admired for her philanthropy and quiet strength. She never forgot where she came from, nor did she harden her heart against those who once dismissed her. The Duke's shocking choice became legend, a reminder whispered through halls of power that beauty fades, but character endures. And for Clara, the girl once overlooked, it was proof that sometimes being chosen last leads to being chosen best.